All right, let's talk a little bit about politics because a lot has to do with the politics of immigration nowadays.
Absolutely.
The presidential candidates are all talking about immigration. There's been a movement against the immigrants, I think, by some politicians bashing immigrants over the last few years. Fortunately, I think for immigrants, the last three who are left standing, Obama, Clinton, and McCain, were all for some kind of comprehensive immigration reform plan. So
Yeah,
are you optimistic?
I hope we don't get what we got in 1986. First of all, we had in November 6, 1986, the amnesty, but the employees of immigration were not ready for the amnesty. They were treating the applicants like prisoners. And out of between 5 and 6 million people that were able to apply, only 1 million applied. And out of that 1 million, maybe half turned out to have the green card. So with the amnesty of 1986, with Section 245I, and all the other horse nonsense that immigration does, I don't think that any reform is going to work unless they reform immigration itself.
You mean the department?
That's right.
Yes.
The department has been charging raising a lot of fees, promising that once they raise all these fees,
it's highway robbery. They take your money.
They're promising they're going to hire a lot more people to speed up the process, and the process never speeds up.
It's highway robbery.
You have to pay for so many applications, and you have to send this, and you know, they give you a certain amount of time, and you know, they just increased the I believe just recently increased the
sure. I mean, just to apply for a green card, it used to be in the 300s. Now it's 1,010.
You know,
and citizenship as well, right? That went up as well.
That's right, 675.
I paid 300, and it's now in less than a year.
And if you have a family of several people who are all becoming citizenship, it can add up to a lot of money.
I can't see why a person who pays $1,000 for his green card, or his, you know, he sends in $1,000. Why is it that they can't receive the application, deposit the money, bring the guy in 60 days, give him the green card? If there's something wrong with the prints, bring him back. Now, if you issue 1,000 green cards in 60 days, you get rid of a lot of boxes there. You run the fingerprints. If you have 50 with problems, so you have 950 at home doing something, traveling.
Mr. Chavez, are you optimistic with the new politicians and the new talk about the immigration reform,
unfortunately,
that something can happen for all the millions of illegal immigrants who are in the country?
I really hope so, but unfortunately, you know, it's all politics. You know, it's an election. You know, I haven't really heard them talk about an immigration program which is going to help a lot of, you know, these people that, you know, they do help the country, the economy, working this low, you know, wage job, and you know, but I really do hope that something is done.
Well, what is happening is the two Democrats, both Senator Clinton and Senator Obama, have come out for comprehensive immigration reform, which had McCain's name. Okay, McCain and Kennedy were the ones who proposed comprehensive immigration reform. Now McCain, over the last few months, has had to reach to the right because he wants to appeal to the conservative anti-immigrant right. And so what happens? McCain is now doing this delicate dance, moving 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. So the question is really going to become, in the general election, is it going to be a Democrat who we trust to make the changes? Because, you know, Bush was going to make changes as well and never did, right?
I don't know. I think we need a real businessman as president of the United States. I think that we need to change how the system runs, how everything runs. The three, you could put them in one pot and ship them overseas because they're not for the United States. They're not here to create a better United States. I think that what we see in immigration is it's only a reflection of everything else you see. It's sad. If we, for example, go to the DREAM Act or 245I, different rules that were already approved and semi-approved, those, they have to be modified. But yes, immigration needs changes inside.
Let's explain what the DREAM Act is, for example. This is one section of that comprehensive immigration reform bill.
That's right.
That try to pass. Once the pro-immigrant senators and legislators, once they were not able to pass the comprehensive plan, they tried to pass a piece, a small piece, and that small piece is the DREAM Act. And the DREAM Act basically gives students, college students, the ability to pay in-state tuition. If they live in this state, illegally unfortunately, but they live in this state, they should pay in-state tuition. Some people think maybe not. They should be made to pay out-of-state tuition, and that's what the DREAM Act eliminates, that requirement that they would have to pay. Imagine if you're a student, you want to go to college in New York, and you have to pay the tuition that would be charged to a student who lives out of state. That's a much higher tuition, because supposedly you came from another country and you're here illegally.
I think the DREAM Act was much bigger than that. I think the DREAM Act is a way for a person who came here as a child to get a green card. They gave him 6 years to do certain things. Among the things that he had to do, he had to go 2 years to college, right? And he had to, if he was a boy, he should enroll in the armed forces of the United States. They gave him 6 years to give the United States a combination. In those 6 years, you were with a green card, a temporary green card. At the end of the 6 years, you had to come back and sort of like fill out a form and say, well, this is what we have done. And then they were going to give them the permanent card. So the only problem with the DREAM Act is that it created a requirement that most parents who are citizens of the United States were not going to approve. You know what it is?
What's that?
Well, the immigrant child was forced to go to college for 2 years. The American kid doesn't have a system to force him or force the parents to send him to college for 2 years.
But there's also something else. The American kid who's coming from Georgia would have to pay out-of-state tuition, and the illegal immigrant who lives in New York. When we come back, we're going to discuss that.
Okay.
We'll be right back.